It's very important for experiments to be designed well to ensure that they're actually measuring or testing what the scientists intend to be testing. So there's a couple of things that they need to consider when doing that. So let's look at a simple experiment. We've got two balls. They're exactly the same size ball. One we're going to drop from this height here. Let's say this is 300 millimeters. And one we're going to drop from 200 millimeters. And we're going to drop them onto the same type of surface. And we're going to measure the height at which the ball rebounds. So we're going to measure the height off the surface with our ruler that the ball rebounds. So in this experiment we have changed one thing between our different trials. We're doing a trial at 300 millimeters and we're doing a trial at 200 millimeters. So what is it that we're changing? That is what we call our independent variable. The variable we change is called the independent variable, and in this case it is the height of the ball, the height that the ball is released at. Our independent variable is the variable that we change. Now, what is it that we measure? The variable that we measure is called the dependent variable, and in this particular case the dependent variable is the rebound height, the height at which the ball rebounds. The dependent variable. So the dependent variable is the variable that we measure. Our independent variable is the thing that we change, and the dependent variable is the thing that we measure. So in good scientific method, we only change one independent variable at a time. Because otherwise, if we change more than one, for example, if we have a cricket ball and a handball, so different balls and then also different heights, well, we don't know which one of those variables has had the effect on the rebound height, so it's very confusing. It's very important for us to only have one independent variable at a time. So if we were interested in the cricket ball versus the handball, well, we would do that as a separate experiment. We would make sure in that case that we control the heights. Both heights are the same. So the other type of variables we have are called controlled variables. And controlled variables are everything that we keep the same. Let's think about what else we need to control here. We need to control the type of ball. We need to, let's just actually list some of them here. The type of ball, what else? The surface. So for example, if one was a mattress and one was concrete, well, that's going to be different. What else? Air temperature. The temperature of the ball. What else can you think of? Wind. Maybe the method that you release the ball. You know, all sorts of things, the method that you use to measure. You know, all of those things you need to consider, because what we need to do is make sure that these are all controlled, so that for every trial, the only thing that's different is the height that the ball is released at. So, once we've got our independent variables, we can then write our hypothesis. And the way we write our hypothesis is that we talk about when we change the independent variable, what happens to the dependent variable. So it's an if-then statement. So if the height that the ball is released is, now we need to specifically say how we're changing it. So in this case is increased, then this is what we say is going to happen to our dependent variable. Then, and what is our dependent variable? It's that rebound height. Then the rebound height will, now this is where we make our prediction. What's our prediction? what do we think is going to happen? So if this one starts at a higher height, if we increase the height, then I think it's going to actually rebound more. So the rebound height will increase. Now, finally, we need to say because. Because why do we think it's going to increase? Why is it? We link back to our knowledge about science. And I think it's because this ball has a higher potential energy. Because, okay, so there's a bit there, isn't there? So our hypothesis statement is an if, then, because statement. And we're talking about if the independent variable is changed, this is the independent variable, is changed, then this is what happens to the dependent variable. So if the independent variable is changed, then this will happen to the dependent variable because linking back to our science. Then we're going to go ahead and do our experiment a number of times, and we're going to see if our results support the hypothesis.